YouTube parts. Jack Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today I'm going to do a new project, and I'm going to be using three different types of scrap that I've got laying around, um, different colors, different thicknesses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way that my wife can carry her loose jewelry around and be able to keep it organized if she wants to take certain jewelry with her on a trip. So she was wondering how she could do that, and I said, I bet I can make something out of leather for you to take with you to keep it organized. So that's what I'm going to do today. Never attempted this, so we'll see how it turns out. So come on in and let's get started. All right, so what I'm starting with here is some pairs of post earrings uh, and some rings, different types of rings. So that's the things that she wears the most. And what I've got is I've kind of thought this through in my head and thought that this is what I would need to do that. So I cut some strips out of some fairly thin leather material. And this is all pre-dyed stuff that I had laying around in my scrap bin. That's why it's mix and match. Obviously, if you want to do this to where it was going to be a really nice piece or something, then you'd want it all to match or be a little bit nicer leather. But this is just made out of scrap. So I've got that. I cut a bunch of those strips. They're 3/8 inch wide, and I did not measure the length. They're 5 inches long. So 3/8 inch wide by 5 inches long. You could make those any size you want, depending on how many. I'm going to use those for the rings, so however many rings you were going to use. Then I've got some, it's about 8-ounce soft leather here, and I've cut out 3 pieces of that, and just because that's how much of it I had to be able to use. And those are 3 inches by 8 inches. So I've got 3 of those, and that's what I'm going to actually mount the jewelry on. So these could be pulled out separate. It's not all going to be hooked together. So the last thing I have is I have this piece of burgundy pre-dyed leather, and it's probably about 6 or 8 ounce, and it is 8 inches by 9.5 inches. And what I'm going to use that for is, at least this is the idea in my head, once I get these set up for the jewelry to be mounted on, you'll be able to take those, place them in here like so, fold this over, snap it together, and what that's going to do is just give you something to keep that together. I didn't put anything on the end. I don't know if I'll have to end up putting something on the end here or not, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to be a problem with it coming out, especially once you get some jewelry on there. That'll help hold that in there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure, let's go ahead and do the rings first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rounded punch here, and this is a number 10. Is what it's got on the end here, and it is approximately just shy of a ½ inch, maybe a 7/16. So that's what I used on the end of those strips. So what I want to do with that is I want to put some of these on one of these thicker pieces and pull them through, and that's what's going to hold the rings on there. I think I could put these a ½ inch apart. Let's see how that works out. And maybe a ½ inch from the side. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just eyeballing this. This doesn't have to be perfect for what I'm using it for. So I'll put one in that direction. Then what I want to do is come back this way and go approximately a ½ inch. And I'm going a ½ inch from the opening to the opening. So from this piece here, a ½ inch to the next piece. So again, I'm going to stay a ½ inch from the side. Then I can go ahead and do the same thing on the next one and go a ½ inch. And this is all approximate. I'm not getting real crazy with the measurements. You could if you wanted to. And I probably get closer on the measurements with the earrings. So we'll mark it another ½ inch. Spin that around. And you could put multiple rings on each one of these if you wanted to. And I want to make sure I'm getting all the way through that. And I am. So we'll go another ½ inch. And you just keep repeating. And the nice thing about this is it's pretty modular, because if you put, say, 10 of these in, and then you end up buying a couple of rings while you're on vacation, you can add more to these. Right now I've got 5 rings here. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and put 5 on here and see where we're at. Again, this was all scrap, so I didn't put a bunch of money into this or anything. If this works out, she likes it, then I may go ahead and do a nicer one for her and actually get some nice leather and all of it match. And see if she likes it. Again, you notice I'm not precise on my measurements. I'm just getting it close. So there's all of my rounded punch on the ends. Now what I can do is I'll take this leather that I cut in strips, and I'll take my stylus and my smoother on one end, and I'll go ahead and we'll just push that through the first one, the one on top, and I'll pull it out to the end. You could put a rivet there if you wanted to, so this wouldn't come out. I don't think it's going to come out unless you really force it to, because when you pull on that, that wants to pull that flap back through there. So, and it's already going to have tension on it. So we can go ahead and put one of the rings through there, and then push the other side through the next flap and pull it through. And you can pull those pretty snug. Now, you could go ahead and do multiples on one strap if you wanted to, or you could cut that strap. I'm going to leave the link there in case I want to do multiples at some point. I could pull that back up through there and put another one on that. But what I'm going to do at this point is just go ahead and pull that through about halfway. Now, this one I pulled out just to come up to the top of that, so I didn't have it hanging out. Now I can go ahead and pull that through, take a second ring, slide it on there, and then do the same thing. I can push it through the second hole or rounded slot, whatever you want to call it. Not really a hole. And then pull it through. Then I can continue that. Now, depending on how many rings you had, the nice thing about this is you only have to pull one of these out to get your ring out of there. You only have to pull one end. And then I'm using this tool to put them in initially. I think once you've put that in initially like that, when you pull that out, you'll be able to push that through with your finger and it won't be a problem. So let's go ahead and pull that through, and you can see what we're getting now, how that holds them on. And with that all being leather, it's going to be nice and soft. It's not going to scratch her jewelry or anything. I'll pull that one through, put the next ring on, and it's just, at that point, it's just repetition, depending on how many rings you want to do. And you can add more of these pieces if you wanted to. These 3" by, what I say, they were 8". You could add more pieces to the set, but you can see I've got 4 on there at this point, getting ready to do number 5, and I've got plenty of room for 5 more on there. So just this small piece of leather is going to be able to hold 10 rings. So you're going to be able to take several with you on your trip. And I suppose this would work for any type of jewelry that you wanted to do. So there's 5 right there. Very secure, not going to go anywhere. You can see how snug they are. That one wants to stand up. All you got to do is lay them down. No problem. They're not going to fall out of there. They're not going to come off. We'll set that one aside. The next one we're going to do is these post earrings for pierced ears. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of them as an example. And what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and find center. There's 4. And let's put these a 1/4 inch apart. So I'll do 4 1/4, 3 3/4, and then let's go. That'd be one set. Let's go ahead and do a set and see what it looks like. So I'll use my single stitching punch, and I did test this on a piece of scrap, and it seemed to put a very nice hole in there for an earring. Let's go ahead and put our first set through, just like putting it in their ear. Put the post on the back, and we'll do the same to the second one. Put it through the hole, and then there's what it looks like on the back. I've got 2 different post closures there. There's what it looks like in the front. So definitely going to be held on there nice and snug. It's not going anywhere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go 3/4 of an inch away from that first hole, right of center. Put a hole, and then I'll go, we did a 1/2 inch, I'll go a 1/2 inch away from that. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll go 3/4 and a 1/2. Then let's go ahead and take another set. I don't see how they deal with these earrings. They're so small. I would never be able to keep from losing them, but this would definitely keep them organized as a set and keep you from losing them too. So there's the second set right here, and then let's go ahead and do the third set that I already made the holes for, and that stitching punch is perfect for that. There's another set. So we've got one more set of earrings. Let's just go ahead and put 2 sets of holes here. And again, I'm making these holes, I'm measuring, but I'm not being super precise on the measurement. I'm just getting it close. So let's go ahead and put the last set that I have here. And obviously this is by no means all the earrings she has, but I just grabbed some to put this together. So there's the earrings. And I've got enough, I've got a set of holes here. Then I could come down here and do a whole second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could get 10 rings on one, and I could get 10 pair of earrings on another one. So that's normally, I would think, plenty for a vacation or a small trip, short trip. Now, I've got an extra one to put in here, and on this one right now, there's nothing on it, so I'm just going to put it between those two. And I'm going to take my burgundy piece that's going to cover those, and I want to put a couple of snaps on here. So let's go ahead and measure. This is 8 inches. So let's go ahead and put one at 1.5 and 6.5. And I just made a little mark with my stylus. Then I can fold this over, match it on the ends, hold it, while I put my hole through the other side. So I've got my 4 holes now. All I need is my hardware. And I'll get my snap setter and my anvil. And let's go ahead and do the gold color. And here's the 2 posts. And here's the button snap. So let's see how these are going to work. And those are fairly long. So let's just go ahead and try one, and let's see. It may be too long. I may have to trim those down a little bit. When they're long like that, I like to go slow. And really rotate that setter. And that set it right in there, so it seems like it's going to work. So let's go ahead and try the other side. Poke it through. It's when I try to get in a big hurry and really come straight down on it is when I run into problems. That's nice. Now we can go ahead and come over here and we can do the finish side. We'll do it the same way. Flip my anvil over to the cup side. Put the female snap in. And by rotating that as I'm hitting it, what that's doing is it's rolling that over evenly instead of smashing it down on one side. And that's nice and tight. So I found it works better for me if I go slow and steady rather than trying to wail on it, and then it wants to bend over on me instead of roll down. So let's go ahead and double check that, and let's see how that works out. You hear them snap real nice and tight. Let's double check them by pulling them apart. And they're in there good and tight. Nothing came apart. Now we can go ahead and take our jewelry. We can set it in there. Make sure everything's in there nice and snug. And hit our snaps. And she can put that in her suitcase or overnight bag, whatever, and it's ready to go. It's not going to fall out. They're secure, they're safe, they're not going to get scratched, lost, because they're all secure. Now, when she opens that up, she's got the one that's got her earrings on it. She's got the one that has her rings on it. All right, so there you go. Another project in the books. Again, this was just made out of scrap. Turned out real nice. The burgundy finished leather, it turned out great to be the outside of it with the gold color, brass color snaps. There's the 3 pieces inside. 2 of them have jewelry on them. It's nice and snug. It's not going anywhere. So just another quick project you could do with some scrap. So I appreciate you coming along. Appreciate you watching. And as I always say, please like, share, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time.